What's going on, guys? Today we are going to be doing a Pyra and Mythra matchup chart, and this is going to be the winning matchup edition of the matchup chart. Alright, so the first character I'll go over is Donkey Kong. I believe this is +2 because Donkey Kong just gets juggled really hard by Mythra and Pyra. He gets ledge trapped really hard by Mythra and Pyra, especially by Mythra because she has a lot of lasting hitboxes. Honestly, if you just use Nair when he's getting off the ledge, it honestly probably covers every get up option he tries to do. So he honestly should not be able to get off ledge in theory at all against a Pyra and Mythra matchup. Almost impossible, but not quite impossible. The next character I'll go over is Bowser because it's kind of the same thing. Bowser gets juggled really bad, gets ledge trapped really hard. The one saving grace that he does have in the matchup is whenever Pyra and Mythra, if he actually gets you in a situation where you're thrown off stage, he can catch you going to ledge with Flame Breath if he spaces it correctly. But even then, that's like kind of the only thing that he has that like would make the matchup a little bit better than Donkey Kong. But even then, it's still like not anything that would like make it go from +2 to +1. He still gets juggled really bad, still gets ledge trapped really bad. He's a heavy, so like it's really easy to hit him. He doesn't have frame data to contest him. You know, just worse character than Pyra and Mythra overall. Next, we'll go over Ridley, which is also a really good matchup for Pyra and Mythra because it's the same thing, just like Donkey Kong and Bowser. Ridley gets juggled really bad. Even though he has extra jumps, it doesn't really matter because Mythra specifically has a lot of speed on the ground, so you can just shark him and chase him, and it doesn't really matter if he's like trying to switch like which direction he's jumping in. You can just like dash under him and just make sure you're staying under him. And he still gets ledge trapped really bad, and he doesn't have as many tools as Bowser and Donkey Kong would have to deal with Pyra and Mythra, and Donkey Kong and Bowser still barely have any tools to deal with Pyra and Mythra. So it's almost impossible, but not quite impossible. So we'll go over our first impossible matchup in this matchup chart, and that's King Dedede, because this character pretty much has no frame data to deal with Pyra and Mythra besides maybe Nair, but even Nair doesn't really have like enough range, and to use Nair you have to like find a way to get close to Pyra and Mythra, which is impossible as Dedede in itself. The only other thing that like Dedede would probably want to do is like try to use Gordo in neutral, and like being able to use Mythra's forward air or Pyra's forward air to like hit it back. Specifically Mythra's because it's really fast, or Mythra's forward tilt, like you can just like time it really easily, and like the hitbox is so big that you don't really have to worry about trading or getting hit by Gordo. You can just hit it back, and like you don't really have to deal with that at all. And then just like Donkey Kong, Bowser, and Ridley, like Dedede gets juggled really bad. Dedede can't get off ledge. He's really slow, so he can't get in on Pyra and Mythra. And down air up smash as Pyra works for a really long time because he's really heavy and really big. So it's just a really bad matchup overall. I don't understand why anyone would think about using Dedede against Pyra and Mythra. If you main Dedede, pick up a different character, please. Our next impossible matchup is gonna be Ganondorf. I don't even know if I really have to explain this. Ganondorf is really slow, has no mobility on the ground or in the air, can't get off ledge, can't land, has very slow frame data. Nair's kind of good, but it's not good enough, honestly. Mythra just literally, you could use one move as Mythra and beat the entire character. It's just like, this match is really bad. Ganondorf is not a good character. Alright, so another really good matchup for Pyra and Mythra will be King K. Rool. Honestly, just all the heavy characters are probably going to be +2 because they all suffer from the same issues. They're all just really big, really slow. They all struggle to land. They all struggle to get off ledge. King K. Rool honestly can land a little bit better against Pyra and Mythra because whenever you try to land with Nair, you can use a super armor to I guess armor through Pyra and Mythra trying to juggle you. But even then, like it's still not enough to like find a way to beat Pyra and Mythra in neutral or get off ledge or like find a way to get in. So I still think this matchup is +2 for Pyra and Mythra. Another +2 matchup is gonna be Little Mac. Little Mac is fast, but the thing that makes this matchup really bad for Little Mac is that like as soon as you throw Little Mac off stage, if you use Mythra and you like position yourself off stage with up B, you can honestly cover everything that Little Mac can do. Like you can cover his double jump, his up B, and his side B if you like position yourself correctly, and up B him and chroma dust him, and then if you just rinse repeat that, like there's no way that Little Mac should be able to come back if he's off stage like even once. And then he still gets juggled as well because he has a very bad air game. He gets ledge trap really bad. Yeah, he just dies really early. Like as soon as you get him off stage, which is really easy as Pyra and Mythra, he should die. So that's why this matchup is +2 for Pyra and Mythra. The next +2 matchup is gonna be Incineroar. Kind of similar to Donkey Kong, Bowser, and King K. Rool and Ridley, because he's like I categorize him as a big character, even though he's not like a heavy character. He's still like really slow, struggles to land, struggles to get off ledge. He does have like revenge to land, like it's just kind of like a counter, but like you can still bait it out, and especially because like Mythra can throw out a lot of moves in the air, so you can kind of like hit him. You can hit him in space correctly to where like you proc revenge, and then you can still keep him in disadvantage, which is really bad for Incineroar. And then you can just edge guard him really well too with Mythra's up B, which is like honestly my favorite go-to move for edge guarding as Pyra Mythra. So yeah, and Incineroar is really slow and he can't get in at all. So this match is really bad. Another matchup that I would think would be +2, but I haven't played, I think at all, is Piranha Plant. I just don't think this character is good. I don't know what this character would do in neutral against Pyra Mythra. He's not too fast. He doesn't really have too many landing options. I would think that you could also use Pyra Mythra's up B, or Mythra specifically, her up B, to catch him trying to up B to ledge when he's off stage, and like just rinse repeat that. Maybe not to kill him, but to get a lot of damage. And yeah, I just don't know what kind of anything Piranha Plant would have. Maybe if you tried to use the spike ball to ledge trap or edge. I don't know. I don't even know if this character would be able to edge guard Pyra Mythra that well. Yeah, this matchup, shit, this might be impossible. I'm gonna put that in impossible. That sounds bad. Nah, I'm gonna keep it +2. I think another +2 matchup would probably be Duck Hunt. I don't think I've played this matchup, but thinking about it or like theory crafting it, I would kind of see Duck Hunt struggling to like get in if he tried to get in, and even though like sometimes he just doesn't want to get in, I feel like Pyra Mythra would have a pretty good chance at dealing with Can and like all of Duck Hunt's projectiles. You could probably use Mythra to force out a lot of Duck Hunt's projectiles, and edge guarding Duck Hunt would probably be pretty straightforward with both characters. You could probably up B with Mythra, and you could probably just, you know, forward air, like position yourself like against the wall of the stage and forward air or down air Duck Hunt when he's trying to up B to ledge. So I don't feel like it would be really hard to deal with this character. I don't think he would be able to land too well against Pyra Mythra. I don't think he would be able to get off ledge unless he's like trying to do some tricks with his can, but even then you can probably hit your can away with like Mythra's Force Smash or something and hit him in the process. So I don't think this would be a really good matchup for Duck Hunt. Alright, I think most of these next matchups are probably going to be +1, so let's try to get a little bit of them out the way. I think Ike is probably going to be a +1 matchup. He struggles to land, struggles to get off stage, but he does have pretty good range to like space against Pyra Mythra, so it's not too bad on his side, but he doesn't have the frame data to deal with Mythra, which probably like gives the edge over the Pyra Mythra. I would probably put Falco at +1. The only saving grace that Falco has in this matchup is whenever you do get hit, you get a lot of damage. But it's kind of the same thing for Pyra Mythra because they keep you, even if they don't get a lot of damage off of one combo, they keep you in disadvantage for so long that like their disadvantage state is basically a true combo, essentially, until you go to ledge. And then you basically get ledge trap for free, which is still a true combo. So you just get hit over and over and over again, and it's just really hard to get that one interaction win as Falco. Another +1 matchup would probably be Samus and Dark Samus. I'll just probably combine them because they're pretty much the same character. This character honestly gets juggled really hard. I have a lot of experience in this matchup because I've played Icy Mist a lot in my region, and at Smash World Tour I played Siski, the European Samus, I believe. And I've always done pretty well in the matchup. Icy Mist has beat me a couple times, but I feel like after she beat me, I did learn a lot about the matchup, and I realized that like you can ledge trap her very easily. It's just kind of tricky because Samus does have one of the faster normal get-ups, so you just have to be a little bit wary of that. But as long as you like have that timing down, like ledge trapping them's pretty easily, juggling them's pretty easy. It's kind of hard to edge guard Samus because of the down B bomb, but you don't really have to risk going off stage because it's hard for Samus to get off the ledge as it is. And Samus is pretty slow, so it's kind of hard for her to get in whenever she has to start like boxing, and you can foresight a lot of Samus's projectiles as well, which makes it even more risky for Samus to use a lot of projectiles in neutral. Oh, actually, a +2 matchup that I forgot about is Isabelle. This character sucks. This character is garbage. Quite literally dog. I'm sorry. Yeah, this character is pretty bad. She's really slow. Doesn't have honestly any tools that can deal with Pyra and Mythra. Fun fact, actually, at like the first major I entered at as Pyra and Mythra, I almost lost to an Isabelle actually because I was very nervous and I SD'd a lot, but I still won because Isabelle is just that bad of a character. So yeah, she can't get off ledge, she can't land, she's very slow, she can't box, she doesn't have the frame data to deal with Pyra and Mythra. Is really bad. Another +1 matchup is probably going to be Ness. Ness actually is one of the characters that does have the frame data to like deal with Mythra because he has really good frame data. His moves come out really fast. They don't have that much lag. The only problem is that like a lot of his moves don't have the range to deal with Pyra and Mythra, and Ness isn't like fast enough to like deal with Pyra and Mythra. On top of that, Ness definitely struggles to land, definitely struggles to get off ledge, and if you hit Ness's up B with your Ray of Punishment shot or Chroma shot, it just immediately halves the distance that Ness goes. So it's easy to edge guard Ness like that. So yeah, this match is pretty bad for Ness. And just like Ness, Lucas is also +1 because it's kind of the same thing. Lucas doesn't have as good frame data as Ness, but he has more range than Ness. Which honestly, to beat or to do well against Pyra and Mythra, you kind of need both. You need range and frame data. And it's like Ness has the frame data but not the range, but Lucas has the range but not the frame data. The only like saving grace that they would have is like whenever Pyra and Mythra is trying to recover, they could use their up B, I forget what it's called, but they can use that to edge guard them. But even then, it's not like Pyra and Mythra have a lot of aerial mobility that they can like maneuver their way around it. So you're not gonna get easy edge guards like that all the time, especially with Ness, because Ness pops you up and helps you come back to stage 2. So yeah, those matchups are definitely +1. Another +1 matchup, I believe, will be Steve. I guess I'll just put all the Steves here. I just don't think that they have the speed to deal with Pyra and Mythra. They definitely have range and pretty good frame data, but like they're just a very slow character. I personally don't think Steve is as good as most people say. Don't attack me for that, please. I just don't think Steve is like he has a lot of setups, but like the fact that Steve is really slow, you can like abuse Mythra's burst range and stay far away from Steve, and then whenever you see him throw anything out, you can dash in from pretty much halfway across the stage and still punish him with any of your tilt or dash tag or grab him or just like mix him up with short hop nair or short hop anything basically. And yeah, he struggles to get off ledge, he struggles to land, even though he can build blocks to like mix up his landing. He still has very bad aerial mobility, so Mythra can juggle him very, very well. Pyra can too. With Cart, you can see Cart coming enough to the point where you can definitely foresight with Mythra. I've done it a lot myself, and if I can do it, that means everyone else can do it, right? So yeah, I think that this matchup is +1. Wait a second, I found another +2 matchup. Dr. Mario. This character's bad. This character's really slow. Budget Mario. He can kill you really early though, but he has to get in and get the setups to be able to kill you that early. And it's basically all you have to do in this matchup is just forward tilt and wall out Dr. Mario, because he honestly isn't fast enough to punish any of Mythra's tilts. Unless maybe if you're shielding backwards, you might be able to punish with back air out a shield. But that's very, very situational. You can always, like, you know, this game is always very, very situational. So that's not like something that consistent that Dr. Mario would be able to use in the matchup. He would struggle to land, struggle to get off ledge. He would struggle to recover because his recovery is honestly not that good. It's very telegraphed, so you can just like up B him with Mythra, rinse, repeat until he dies. And yeah, that's what makes this matchup +2. Another +1 matchup would be Chrom. I don't think this character is that good either. I think that this is one of the characters that Mythra can actually edgeguard really well, because whenever Chrom is up being to ledge, you can just forward smash it as long as you time it correctly. Whenever he's trying to drift to ledge, you can just up B him with Mythra and hit him even further out until he tries to up B under the stage, and then you can forward smash him and just kill him, and he won't be able to make it back to the ledge. He is fast, and he does have like pretty good frame data and range. The fact that he gets edge guarded harder than Pyra and Mythra does gives Pyra and Mythra a significant edge, because you still definitely like juggle and ledge trap Chrom harder than he juggles and ledge traps you. Yeah, that's why I believe this matchup is +1 for Pyra and Mythra. Another +1 matchup, which I kind of wanted to put him +2, but after I've seen Base Maze play, and I haven't played the matchup that much, or at all, honestly, I was kind of scared to play Base Mage. If y'all don't know who Base Mage is, he's the best Jigglypuff in Smash Ultimate, and he's been doing very, very well in the recent meta. So yeah, he's been proving that this character is very, very good, but this character doesn't have the range or the speed to deal with Pyra and Mythra. You can honestly just like, you can probably play a lot of Pyra in this matchup and wall out Jigglypuff, because you can just use Pyra's bigger range to keep Jigglypuff away and kill her very, very early. So yeah, this match is probably +1 for Pyra and Mythra. Another +1 matchup is probably going to be Marth. He does have range, doesn't have as good frame data as Pyra and Mythra. So you still out frame data Marth. You still juggle him pretty well because he's not a fast faller, and you still ledge trap him decently well, you know, because he just like doesn't really have like any ledge mix-ups, so you can ledge trap him pretty well. And yeah, you can just like out neutral him with Mythra and then play advantage state with Pyra, and that's honestly like a sound game plan just to like nullify anything Marth has. So that's why I would believe this is. I haven't played this matchup much, but I would probably assume that Megaman would be a +1 matchup. I just feel like he probably wouldn't be able to land as well. He might be able to mix up a little bit more with like some of his projectiles, as well as using his up B to like jump away. You know what they say, whatever goes up has to come down, and at some point Mega Man's gonna have to come down, and Pyra and Mythra's gonna be waiting on the ground for you. So he's still gonna get juggled pretty well, especially whenever he loses all of his resources. Like he doesn't have any more jumps. It's gonna be pretty easy to juggle Mega Man, and he's not really that fast in neutral. Doesn't have like that great frame data, so you can probably out frame data him too with Mythra. He definitely has better, like, some of his moves come out faster than most characters, but they are pretty laggy, so you can whiff punish him very well. And yeah, as long as you use that game plan, you probably should be doing pretty well in this matchup as Pyra and Mythra. Another +1 matchup is probably going to be Pichu. Even though Pichu on paper should do well in this matchup, Pichu dies way too early. way too early. Because even though you can edge guard Pyra and Mythra as Pichu, you can like camp theoretically as Pichu using T-Jolts, even though you probably don't want to do that because Mythra could abuse that to foresight you. The fact that you can kill Pichu at 30 or 40 with Pyra, which I've done already, is a problem. So that's why I think this matchup is +1. And another +1 matchup I would say is probably Zelda. She just doesn't have the speed or the frame data to deal with Pyra and Mythra because a lot of her moves are pretty laggy. She's really slow. She struggles to land, struggles to get off ledge. Honestly, this is +2. This sounds really bad now that I'm saying it out loud. Yeah, this is a really bad matchup. You can also Foresight Phantom. Yeah, this is really bad. Yeah, that's a really bad matchup. Another matchup that I believe would be +1 is the Belmonts. I don't know where Richter is, so I'll put him up there later. But yeah, the Belmonts, I do believe, oh, there he is. The best frame data, they do have range, but like that's not really good against Pyra and Mythra because I do define Pyra and Mythra also as a zone breaking character just because of how fast they are and like how good they are as rushdown characters because of Mythra being able to get in and Pyra being able to do a lot when you get in as Mythra. So the fact that you can just like get in on Simon and Richter whenever they're like trying to wall you out is a big deal and makes the matchup really bad for them since that's what they usually want to do. Oh, +2 matchup, Kirby. This character also sucks. This character will not be able to land at all. Even though Kirby has multiple jumps, it doesn't matter because he's really slow in the air. You can just shark him as Mythra. You can kill him really early as Pyra. Less trap him really bad. Yeah, the only time I would probably be scared of Kirby is if he inhales Pyra and uses Prominence. Is that Prominence Rool? No. I forget what that means. Flaming Nova. Because that shit would probably kill Pyra and Mythra mad early. So, but other than that, that's probably not gonna happen too often. And you're going to be killing this character very early. You're going to be juggling them. You're going to be less trapping them. Going to be beating them in neutral because they don't have the frame data to deal with them. They're just not good enough. Another +1 matchup is probably going to be Villiger. A little bit better than Isabelle, but kind of still in the same boat. His Nares is better. Most of his aerials are honestly just better because the fact that his up air can be stronger and his down air can be stronger. The fact that he can use Lloyd Rocket to like, honestly, Lloyd Rocket would probably be pretty bad to use because Mythra can probably foresight that. So yeah, that would honestly make this matchup pretty bad too. Honestly, this matchup might be it's not +2, but it's definitely not good for Villiger, which is probably why I would say it's +1. Villiger won't be able to land very well. Villiger won't be able to get off stage or get off the ledge very well. And you would definitely be able to rinse repeat edge guarding with up B as Mythra when he's trying to use his balloons to get to ledge. So yeah, this matchup's definitely not that good for her. Another character that's +1 for Pyra and Mythra is going to be Robin. I just think that this character, even though the character does have range, they're very slow. So it's kind of hard to get in as Robin. And even though they like their moves do come out like kind of fast, not too fast, but kind of fast. Even though they do come out kind of fast, they have a decent amount of end lag or animation lag. So like you can whiff punish very well with Mythra even if you're far away. And then after you get him into disadvantage as Mythra, you can switch to Pyra because their aerial mobility is not good. So it's easy to juggle them as Pyra. And you can do the same for ledge trapping since they don't really have like the best mobility to get off a ledge. You can ledge trap them with either Pyra or Mythra. And yeah, just keep them in disadvantage the entire match, which is probably why it's honestly, I'm gonna put a +2. This is really bad. I'm sorry. That's a really bad match. I'm sorry, Robin. Okay. Y'all might think I'm crazy. Alright, y'all might think I'm crazy. But I realize there's another +2 matchup on this chart. And that's gonna be Wario. Alright, hear me out. I don't know how this character is supposed to get in at all against Pyra and Mythra. Pyra or Mythra, honestly. When I play this matchup, I play a lot of Pyra because I can just stay really far away from Wario and kill him pretty early. You can spike him trying to up B to ledge because Pyra's down air like spikes really low under the stage, and it's not that hard to time against Wario because his recovery when he's trying to up B is a little bit linear. So if he's not close to the stage, it's kind of reactable. And most of his moves are just not big at all. Like, he has to like try to land on you to start something, like with nair or landing nair or landing forward air or landing up air. But like, as long as you just dash back with Pyra or Mythra, you can just outspace anything that Wario does. So it's a really, really bad matchup, which is why I think it's +2. Another +1 matchup, I believe, is going to be Ryu. I think, honestly, I'll just probably talk about Ryu and Ken because they're kind of in the same boat in this matchup. The fact that like whenever they jump into you, they have to commit. Like, as long as you dash back as Pyra or Mythra, you can just like stuff them out whenever they're jumping. And even when they're using focus, as long as you're playing Mythra, or even if you're playing Pyra, if you're playing Mythra, you can just nair focus. And if you're playing Mythra, you can just nair focus. And if you're playing Pyra, you can use Flaming Nova, which is actually really good because if they try to focus, you can honestly get pretty early kills with that too. So yeah, they definitely struggle to land because of that, because since they can't use focus to like land consistently, and they definitely struggle to get off the ledge, and they struggle to get in because they're pretty slow in neutral. Another +1 matchup is gonna be Banjo. Pretty much loses because of the same reasons that all the other characters lose. Disadvantage state's really bad. He does have Wonder Wing, but it doesn't really like help him much in this matchup. So yeah, it's definitely gonna be +1. Another matchup that I'm gonna say is +1 is probably gonna be Bayonetta. Her disadvantage state is a little bit better than other characters, but she doesn't really have the frame data to deal with Mythra in neutral, which is why the matchup's really bad for her. Another matchup that I'm gonna say is +1 is probably gonna be Peach. Because Peach is one of the characters that has a really bad disadvantage. It's kind of similar to Falco, where whenever Peach does get a hit, you take a lot of damage, but it's really hard for Peach to get that hit. And one thing that she really needs in the matchup is turnip, but Mythra, her speed is really, really good to the point where like it's hard for Peach to pull out turnip in general, which is why the match is really hard for her. Another character I'll say is +1 is going to be Snake, and I say this because the same reason as Peach. Snake has a really, really bad disadvantage state, one of the worst disadvantage states out of the entire top tier cast. He's also really slow in neutral, so it's kind of hard for him to just contest Mythra in general, and the fact that he's really slow in the air too makes Pyra be able to bully him a lot in disadvantage, so it's really bad for him. Another character I'll say is +1 is going to be Captain Falcon. Captain Falcon doesn't have the best disadvantage state, just like all the other characters, but he does have a really good burst range in neutral, so he can kind of contest Pyra Mythra in neutral, or Mythra specifically in neutral, but he doesn't have as many options out of his burst dash, because the only things he'll usually go for is dash attack or dash grab, but Mythra can go for a lot more things like tilts and like aerials and stuff like that. So Mythra is just a better character than Falcon, basically. All right, another character I'm going to say that's +1 for Pyra Mythra is going to be Mewtwo, because Mewtwo also has one of the worst disadvantage states in the game out of like the good characters. As well as like he struggles to get off ledge a lot, so pretty much the same reason as all the other characters. His double jump makes it a lot harder for him to get off the ledge, which is why you'll probably be able to ledge trap this character a lot easier as Pyra Mythra. Another character I'm going to say is +1 is going to be Wiifit Trainer. Wiifit Trainer is kind of harder to ledge trap because she has a lot of mix-ups on the ledge, but she doesn't really have the hitboxes to deal with Pyra Mythra, and you can just kind of wall out Wiifit Trainer if they're trying to like, get in on you. So that's why I think this matchup's not too great. Another character that I think is going to be +1 will be Ice Climbers. Pretty much you can play this matchup kind of similar to Rosalina and Luma. I don't know if I talked about that yet, but pretty much as soon as you get rid of Nana, Popo really can't do anything, and as long as you get them into disadvantage once, you should be able to get rid of Nana immediately, and then the match is basically like impossible. So if he didn't have Nana, this matchup would be down here, impossible. Another +1 matchup that I think would be for Pyra and Mythra is probably going to be Pit and Dark Pit. I'll just probably put them as the same because like they don't really have too many differences in this matchup. Even though they do have multiple jumps, it's still hard for them to get out of disadvantage because they're pretty floaty, and Pyra and Mythra kind of bully floaty characters in disadvantage state, so they can't really do anything in disadvantage or in neutral, honestly, because if you play Whiff Punish as Pyra and Mythra, they can't really do anything in this matchup. Also, I have Lucario down here in +2 because this character dies way too early to Pyra, and you usually want to live later so that you can get Aura. So you lose to Mythra early percent, and you die to Pyra earlier than you should be dying as Lucario. And then for Young Link and Toon Link, they both have the same problems. They both get Edgeguarded really hard. They can't contest them in neutral. They get juggled. They get ledge trapped. They can't do anything at all against this character. The only saving grace is that like they can sometimes camp, but even when they're camping, they get force up by Mythra, and it's just awful. So these characters are +2 as well. Another +1 matchup is going to be Yoshi. Yoshi is one of the characters that doesn't have like one of the worst disadvantage states, but the fact that Yoshi doesn't really have any disjoints or big enough hitboxes to contest Mythra makes it really hard for Yoshi to approach Mythra in this matchup. And you still get ledge trapped just as hard as every other character from Pyra, which is why Yoshi doesn't really do that well in this matchup. Another character that I'm going to say is going to be +1 is going to be Rosalina, because kind of similar to Ice Climbers, as soon as you just get rid of Luma, this matchup is basically impossible. And it's really easy to get rid of Luma with Mythra, because as soon as you dash attack, Luma gets put into tumble, even off the first hit. So this matchup is really bad. Another matchup that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Hero, and this is because if you're playing Mythra in this matchup, you basically don't get a chance to read menu as Hero, which is one of the things that Hero really needs in most matchups, so that's why this matchup is really bad for Hero. Another character that I believe is going to be +1 is Game & Watch, because Game & Watch doesn't really have the hitboxes to contest Pyra and Mythra, doesn't have the best disadvantage state, doesn't have the best ledge options to get off ledge against Pyra and Mythra, basically the same thing as most of the other characters. Another character that's going to be +1 is going to be Olimar, and this is because kind of the same reason as Game & Watch. He has a really bad disadvantage state, especially he's really bad off the ledge. So the fact that he can't really do anything in those situations makes it really hard for him to honestly do anything in this matchup. Another character that's going to be +1 is going to be Chrom, and this is because she does have the range to deal with them, but she doesn't really have the frame data. She's not that good in disadvantage. She's not that good off the ledge, and she's just slow in general, so she can't really contest Mythra or even Pyra, because she's kind of like similar to the same speed as Pyra, which is a problem. Another character that's going to be +1 is going to be Link. I think that Link is okay in this matchup because his Nair is really good. It's really fast and it has really low end lag, but that's kind of the only thing that he has, honestly, because his projectiles aren't really that good to use in this matchup. Most of his other moves are really slow. He's not that good in disadvantage, just like all the other characters, so that's why I think this matchup is still +1. I also think Mii Gunner is going to be +1. Sans! But yeah, because probably the same reason that Link is in this situation. He doesn't really have a lot of fast frame data or enough tools just in neutral to deal with Pyra and Mythra stuff, so that's why this matchup's not that great for Mii Gunner. Okay. Another matchup that I think is going to be +1 is going to be Mii Swordsman. Doesn't have as much range as Pyra and Mythra, and he's still like decently slow, so it's kind of hard for him to contest the character in neutral, and still has a pretty bad disadvantage state, can't get off the ledge as well. Doesn't have the best projectiles to deal with him either, so that's why this matchup's not that great for him. Another matchup that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Bowser Jr. Basically in this matchup, honestly, actually, I'm going to put this matchup in +2, because in this matchup, Pyra and Mythra both have tools to deal with Bowser Jr.'s cart, which is his main go-to option in neutral. So basically, if you can like nullify cart with any character, you probably can't be playing Bowser Jr. in that matchup. And this is one of the matchups that you can't be playing Bowser Jr. in because you have 2 characters that nullify Kart, pretty much because of the range of their attack. So that's why I'm gonna put this in +2. Another matchup that I'm gonna believe is gonna be +1 is gonna be Luigi, and this is because Luigi has one of the worst disadvantage states in the game. The only thing that he has out of disadvantage is Cyclone, but if you call it out and read it and just punish him for using it, you should be able to keep him in disadvantage for even longer than other characters because they'll usually be matching Cyclone out of disadvantage. So that's why I think this matchup is +1. Another matchup that I'm gonna believe is gonna be +1 is gonna be Mario. I guess I'll put the Mario brothers right by each other, and this is because Mario doesn't really have the tools in neutral to beat Pyra and Mythra's moves. It's kind of similar to Falco and Peach in the sense where like whenever you do get a hit, you get a lot of damage, but it's really hard for Mario to get that hit in general. And Pyra and Mythra is gonna be pushing out the same amount of damage that you do, but easier, which is why the matchup is +1. Another matchup I'm gonna believe is +1 is gonna be Shulk, and this is because Shulk does have the range, but he doesn't have the frame data. A lot of his moves are very slow and have a lot of end lag, and he doesn't have the best disadvantage state. He's not that great off the ledge, and he's one of the characters that Pyra and Mythra can actually edge guard pretty well, which is why this is in +1. Another character that's gonna be +1 is going to be Sora. And this is actually similar to Mewtwo because Sora's double jump is honestly, I think it's worse than Mewtwo's. I'm not too sure, but the fact that his double jump is that bad and he's really floaty makes it even harder for him to get out of disadvantage than the other characters. He does do a lot of damage on hit, but it's really hard for him to get that hit because the frame data is not that great, and he's not that fast in neutral. Another character I'm gonna put as +1 is gonna be Sephiroth. Kind of similar to Shulk actually in the sense that like his moves aren't really that fast. He does have a lot of range, but his moves have not the best frame data, and he's not the best out of disadvantage. Even whenever he has wing and has the extra jump, Mythra's just really fast in the sense that like you can just keep striking Sephiroth and keep him in disadvantage that way. So it's gonna be +1 for Pyra and Mythra. Another character actually is gonna be Cloud, which is kind of similar to Sephiroth in the sense that like he has a lot of range. He does have pretty good frame data, but you edgeguard Cloud better than he edgeguards you, and you have a much bigger burst range than Cloud does. So you can just play Whiff Punish and beat Cloud in this matchup basically. Another matchup that I'm gonna put in +1 is gonna be Terry. And this is because Terry gets edgeguarded really hard, like even harder than the other Shoto characters because he doesn't have focus, he doesn't have like big hitboxes under him to try to land, so it's really hard for him to get out of disadvantage and to like come back down to the stage. And even when he's off stage, like all you have to do is just bait out his recovery options that are very telegraphed, and you can just punish him for it, which is why I think it's +1. Another matchup I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Kazuya, which is honestly the same reason that Terry is +1 because he doesn't have focus like the other Shotos. So he does do more damage than Terry does on hit, but it's really hard for him to get the hit because he's really slow. Okay, another matchup that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Sonic. This is one of the characters that a lot of people think is actually really good, but I personally don't think Sonic is that good. So this might be like skewing my opinion because I don't have the highest opinion of Sonic. I just kind of feel like whenever he's spin dashing, you can just like bait him to throw out spin dash and then punish him with Mythra's Nair, which pretty much beats out spin dash, and then you can just keep him in disadvantage just like the other characters. So it's kind of hard for Sonic to do anything, which is why I think it's +1. But I don't think Sonic is that good, so other people might have a different opinion. Like if you do, let me know in the comments below. Another character I believe to be +1 is going to be Pokemon Trainer, and this is because the only real threat in this matchup is Squirtle, and as soon as you get Pokemon Trainer off of Squirtle, which you can do by just getting Squirtle to like 30-40% and then switching to Pirate, because they have to be scared of dying really early as Squirtle to Pirate, which is what's going to make them switch to Ivysaur. And then as soon as they switch to Ivysaur, you can switch back to Mythra, and then Mythra pretty much negates both Ivysaur and Charizard. And the fact that you have to switch from Ivysaur to Charizard before you go back to Squirtle makes the matchup really hard for Pokemon Trainer, because you have to go through these two Pokemon as against Mythra before you get back to Squirtle, which is why I think it's +1. And another matchup that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Fox. And a lot of people think that Fox is one of the characters that can actually beat Pyra and Mythra. I know like Light thinks it's even. I think Spargo might think it's like losing or something, but I think Pyra and Mythra actually win this matchup because you basically do the exact same thing that Fox does, except slightly better, and you have a disjoint, and you have a better recovery. So it just doesn't make sense that this would be an even matchup. Another character that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Palutena, and this is because she doesn't really have the tools in neutral to deal with Pyra and Mythra, because you can just play Whiff Punish with Mythra and force Palutena to throw out moves in neutral because of the threat of your burst range. You kind of have to force it to guess just by the threat of dashing in. So just like putting that kind of pressure and forcing her to throw things out, you'll be able to punish it with dash attack and then put her into disadvantage and then play your usual game, which is why I think it's +1. Another character I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Byleth, and this is because he doesn't really have the frame data to deal with Pyra and Mythra. You can kind of just play Whiff Punish. He has one of the worst disadvantage states out of the good characters. He's not really good off the ledge. He does have range, but he doesn't have the frame data or the speed in general, which is why I think it's +1. Leo's just a god, so don't ask me questions about that. Another character I believe that's going to be +1 is going to be Roy, and this is because Roy does have the speed, does have the frame data, but doesn't have the tools and disadvantage to get back safely against Pyra and Mythra, because it's kind of hard for him to get out of disadvantage, specifically because whenever you're like drifting one way, it's hard for Roy to like drift the other way, so it makes it kind of telegraphed where he's going to land and how he's going to land, which makes it easier for you to juggle Roy as Pyra specifically, which is why I think this matchup is +1. And you also get to edgeguard him pretty easily as Mythra using up B. So yeah, it's actually not that great for Roy. Another character I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Meta Knight, and this is because he doesn't really have that great of aerial drift, which makes it hard for him to get out of the disadvantage even though he has multiple jumps. Same for ledge, and his hitboxes are actually really small for a sword character, so Mythra can just outrange him in most situations, which makes it really hard for him to do anything. Another character I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Zero Suit Samus, and this is because as soon as you get rid of Flip Kick from Zero Suit Samus, she suffers from the same problems that the other characters suffer from in disadvantage. And if you're playing as Mythra, you can chase Flip Kick pretty easily and hit her out of Flip Kick, and then just keep on juggling her just like the other characters, which makes it really hard for her. And she doesn't have like the disjoints or the range to deal with Pyra and Mythra in neutral. Another matchup I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Greninja, and this is kind of similar to Fox, except Greninja's like kind of a worse Fox, so it's kind of amplified, except that Greninja can edge guard Pyra and Mythra a little bit better than Fox can because of Hydro Pump and the fact that he has a better recovery, but he's not as good in neutral and is kind of worse in disadvantage, so it's probably just as bad as Fox. Another character that I believe is going to be +1 is going to be Rob, because Rob is big, and big characters don't do well against Pyra and Mythra. That's why, +1. Another character I believe that's going to be +1 is going to be Sheik, and this is because you kill Sheik pretty early as Pyra, which is a problem. Mythra can contest Sheik's frame data in neutral, and the fact that she has a bigger burst range than Sheik forces Sheik to guess in neutral and like forces her to like use needles a lot more, so she won't have needles as often as she would against other characters, which is a very big plus. She does have a better disadvantage state because she does have pretty good drift and does have bouncing fish, but she's not that great off the ledge because Mythra and Pyra just both have really big hitboxes to deal with Sheik on the ledge, so that's why I think this matchup is +1. And then the last character that I'll put in +1 is going to be Wolf, and I saved this one for last because I know that a lot of people believe that Wolf is probably like one of the characters that might have the best matchup against Pyra and Mythra, which is kind of interesting to me because I just can't really see it, because Wolf does have big hitboxes and like decently good frame data and range, but like you have a lot. Mythra specifically has a lot of anti-air attacks that can anti-air Wolf whenever he's trying to approach you, because Wolf usually likes to approach you from above. So the fact that like he wants to approach you from above with like Nair or like a landing forward air makes it hard for me to see how he would be able to approach Pyra and Mythra when most of her moves are really big disjoint moves that like anti-air, which is why I think this matchup is not that great for Wolf. But yeah, these are all the characters that I think are winning for Pyra and Mythra, because this character's broken. Alright, and that is all of the matchups that I believe Pyra and Mythra win. But who knows, maybe you think King K. Rool actually beats Pyra and Mythra. I won't know unless you post it in the comments below. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.